And it's a great afternoon, the first Friday here of January of 2022. And if you're joining us live, we want to welcome you to today's broadcast. If you're watching the replay, we also appreciate the courtesy of listening to us today as we try to share some information with you that we hope will be helpful for you. So, what's our subject matter today? The subject matter is, are you running the business or is the business running you? And it's kind of like I said something earlier this morning to Sheryl and Brandi as we were talking about today's broadcast. It's kind of like having a tiger by the tail. So, Sheryl, what's your thoughts about today's subject matter?
Well, I mean, a lot of us think that we're working, doing other things, but you're just delving into the day by day stuff of the business, the normal stuff. You don't get out there and you don't work on the business. You don't try to improve it. You don't make it better. So that's where we're at today.
Okay. Brandi, what about you? What's your thought processes on today's subject matter?
Yeah, I think especially in the chimney and fireplace industry, I think a lot of people get into it just as one person. It seems like it'll be a good little career for them. And then they end up having to grow out of necessity, even though they never intended to. And then they're not quite sure all the processes and systems to put in place to grow. And so they end up just spinning their wheels, not hiring the right people. So they end up out in the truck working when they really need to be in the office.
Yep. So, want everybody to stick right now? What we're going to do is, like I said, today it's kind of like you got a tiger by the tail. So let me see if I can get onto my little start button here, and we're going to play something for you to start with. Tiger by the tail, I won't be much when you get through with me. So that's kind of what it feels like, It kind of feels sometimes like you're losing track, you're losing sleep, you're losing speed, everything else. That's what we want to talk to you about today. So we're going to play our intro music for you, and we'll be right back. Don't go nowhere, and we'll get started with how you're going to handle this tiger by the tail. So, as a manager, as an owner, no matter what your position is, this is an overwhelming time of business. What you're looking at is sometimes we can say it's the best of times because you probably got more demand for your products, your services than you've ever had since you started business. But on the other side, the challenges are mounting up when you look at it. And then we've got the additional challenges right now of COVID is striking all across the country. And our client base alone, I ain't got enough fingers on one hand to even say all the people that are coming down. I got to have about 4 to 5 hands to talk about the workforces and the clients who are suffering COVID coming in. And on top of that, what happened this week? We got dumped on with massive snow in the mid-Atlantic states. So now we got people with COVID. We got people with snow piling up. We got problems getting our product in. We got problems getting people to come to work for us, to fill jobs, everything else. It is a big challenge. So, Sheryl, what's your thoughts about the challenges of business today, and how do you tame this tiger that you got by the tail?
Well, my thoughts on that is to first calm down, because don't go at it like you've got the tiger by the tail. Take it as it comes out. We call it putting out fires a lot of times. But I think a lot of people get overwhelmed because all these things stack up. If you kind of break them apart, take the most important one and work on it, and then work your way down, I think it really helps instead of trying to face the morning with everything hitting you in the face.
That's it. And Brandi, same question. You've got your one-on-one clients, you've got your own business, and right now, on top of that, your son's sitting in the bed. You've done had COVID strike your household this week. So, how do people handle all these pressures of today's world, Brandi?
Well, I think that you have to, number one, remember what your priorities are. Number two, I think I think the biggest problem is nobody has a plan. So you're kind of just going through life fluttering. Maybe it's that, yeah, you've grown your business and you're saying, I want to get out of the business and I want to get in the office, get out of the truck, but you don't have a plan for that. And just saying it won't make it magically happen. So I think just having a plan for when it happens. I mean, COVID's been around now for, is it like 2 years? So we knew in our house if it were to hit what our plan would be. My son has had all 3 of his shots. He's boosted and it didn't protect him, but we had our plan in place to put into action. And so we're dealing with it.
And that's it. And that's what you got to do. But I think there are some answers, and a lot of them are. I want you, if you're listening to us right now, imagine you're looking in a mirror right now. And when you look in that mirror, you're looking at yourself. And if you look on this side, you got an ear, and on this side, you got an ear. Have you ever thought how much knowledge is in that short distance? It's probably 6 to 8 inches, something like that. But how much knowledge do you have? And see, this is one of the overwhelming things that takes so much of our energy. And that is the questions that our people ask us day in, day out, and they ask us all these questions. And when you look at it, it goes down to the systems you've got where your people can find the answers without coming to you. You know, we've interviewed a couple people on our broadcast. One of them is a guy by the name of Al Levy. Another one is one of our clients. His name is Josh Kelly. So, Brandi, when you look at that and what I'm talking about here, and you've seen Josh's systems, you've seen how he's built this. How does this have the capability of eradicating this overwhelming feeling of people tugging at you all the time?
Well, if you're the go-to person in your business and everybody's coming to you every 5 minutes with a different question, then there's something wrong. And Josh, what he's built through his wiki site is incredible. And basically every question you have, there's an answer for it in there. And if there's not, you better believe he's going to put the answer in there when you ask the question.
That's it. So, Sheryl, you know, I recently asked you, okay, you own a manufacturing entity. The name is IBD Outdoor Rooms. However, you spend about 95% of your time now working with our clients in the hiring, the recruitment, the interview process, and everything that's involved, the assessments and all that of new employees for quite a few clients across the country. So how do you manage to run a manufacturing entity producing product, and you're only spending about 5% of your time on this? What's the secret? Because there's got to be something there.
Well, we did our standard operating procedures a long time ago, and we keep those up. So we're able to have the system there in place. Plus, my children actually work in the business. My son runs the manufacturing part of it. My daughter runs the office part. And so I stay in close contact with them because we have set up everything. My office here basically mimics my shop office. So I can see everything they're doing. We have cameras set up there. We do Zoom, whatever we need. And the phones ring in both locations. We've set up all the procedures where if one of them's out, I can pick it up from here. Actually, there's very little time when I have to physically walk in the office anymore.
How hard is it to give up that control, Sheryl?
Actually, not as hard as I thought it would be. At first I was, it's your baby and you really hate to let it go. But then I realized there's only so many hours in the day, and I had to choose which direction I needed to deal with this. And I mean, when this slows down at times, which rarely ever happens, but then I can put more into IBD. I still put a lot into it, but it's not face to face. And was it hard? It's kind of like growing your child up. And I think it's kind of grown now. So I don't have as much trouble with it at all. But in the beginning, it was you had to suck it up a little bit.
Right. And so, Brandy, you're kind of in the same situation today. You're sitting in your home office. Sometimes when we broadcast on Fridays, you're in your office at Flues Brothers, but you're working from two different bosses, two different positions there. One at Flues Brothers, but your coaching responsibilities and your working with clients is greatly increasing. In fact, we're at the point that if somebody wants to have you on their staff, they're going to have to go into a waiting list because we only got so much brandy that can go around, and you don't spread real easy. Okay. I mean, that's, you're not a good spreader, but I know one of the things that you did over the last couple of weeks is you added a personal assistant for yourself. And we had to lean on you a little bit to do that. We kind of pushed you to do that. But what's that been like? Has that helped with that overwhelming feeling of things just eating you alive?
It has. I'm like Sheryl. I have basically the same phone that I have at my Blues Brothers location. I have here in my home office where I do most of my CVC work. Today, because I do have a sick kiddo, I came home early and I have another meeting for CVC for one of my clients here later. So it just made more sense to come home and work from here. I was kind of venting to you and Sheryl the other week that I was just feeling really anxious and stressed out because I had so much to do and so much on my plate. And I'm one of those people that the reason I don't spread well is because I want to make sure that the people that are my clients, I'm taking very, very well care of them. And so that they don't feel slighted in any way. So I try to put a lot of energy into them. So you guys suggested that I get an assistant, and it has made a huge difference. She is fantastic. She's already reading my mind and anticipating things that I need. I looked at virtual. I decided to go with somebody in person just because I need her to run some errands and things as well for the business. But it's been fantastic.
Right. And Sheryl, the same token, several months ago, we hired you a personal assistant. And this personal assistant, is running errands, doing the things that you simply do not have time to do. It's not that you mind doing them. It's not that you don't want to do them. But the problem is, what is your responsibilities? So what you've done, you have delegated assignments over to other people. Am I correct?
Yeah, and that's what people have to do. I mean, Christina takes care of the running. She takes care of some of my personal stuff that needs to be done. The kids, I've delegated to them what they need to do. It frees me up to do what I have to do. I mean, doing some of the graphics and stuff you've got to have your mind set on what you're doing. And I couldn't do it if I had to jump up every little while and go change laundry or run by. I mean, I hired her to go get a doorknob one day was how it all started. But she's done errands today. She's been gone half the day running things that I just had a list to pick up.
That's it. And same thing in my situation. I have quite a few different virtual assistants, and these are people that I assign work to remotely that I never see. We have one lady, her name's Julie. She takes care of all of our educational platform, preparing certificates. That's her role. We have a video person that takes care of editing, those type of things. We have an audio editor that takes care of auditing, those kind of things. We have a photography assistant. We have a lot of people that we can assign work over to, and we can depend on them to really help us out and stop, and where it takes the stress off of us. But it comes in of having the systems. Sheryl, you said something a while ago about the standard operating systems that we had built at IBD many years ago. And was that something that started the day we started the operation, or did we start it sometime later?
Basically, you start it the day that you start, because then you don't have to play catch up. And they're ever evolving. Everybody says, I'm going to do my procedures and I'm done. They're not a one and done. They change. We've changed a lot of the procedures from 20 years ago. I mean, we're going into our 25th year. And with that, it makes it so much easier to have them. And we started in the early times. We're seeing people now that have been in business 10, 15 years trying to catch theirs up. And that one's hard.
Yeah, it really truly is. And same token, Brandy, you and Jeremy have done a phenomenal job of putting managers into place to do the things that need to be done, the things that you may not be the best at, things that you really don't want to do. You don't relish doing those kind of things. So, how did you manage to come to that decision that it was time to delegate the responsibilities and like I asked Cheryl, give up that control. How difficult that was for you because you are somewhat of a control freak, young lady.
I am, but I also love delegating because I like to see other people take those tasks and grow and do it even better than I can do it. I would say for Jeremy, it was a little bit harder because he likes to keep that control because he knows he can do it better, faster. But he's finally come to the conclusion that we're getting older and our kids are getting older. Our son's going off to college next year. We're wanting to do more traveling. Things are changing in our life. And so he's come to the decision that he can't be that person to do it all. And so we have two managers in place that handle the technicians and then my office manager that handles the office. And it really frees us up to do other things, to have other business interests, to take the afternoon off if we want, whatever that looks like.
I understand. So, Cheryl, what's your additional thoughts on this? How do people get past the overwhelming things? Because I've got a couple ideas I'm going to share here in a minute.
How do you get past the overwhelming things? I back to what Brandi said. Just prioritize and bring them in as they come. I mean, the day is what the day is. We only have 24 hours. So you can only do so much. And to me, it's better doing 5 things correctly than doing 7 things ridiculously.
Right. And here's my thoughts I want to pass with you today. And I want you to listen carefully because I'm going to recommend some reading material for you if you're listening this today. And one is a book that I think every business owner needs to read. It's called The E-Myth. The E-Myth Revisited. And the whole purpose of the E-Myth is you look at this, and the mission of Michael Gerber when he wrote this was that you've got to build a business that's replicatable. I also look at business as a life insurance policy. And I look at business that you've got to develop the systems that if something happened to you, the business would still survive. I mean, Brandy, let me ask you a question. If something happened to Jeremy, would it be fair for all the people that work for you to lose their jobs because the business was not prepared to go on because something happened to him?
No, that would be very sad.
Yeah, it really would. Cheryl, what about you? If something happened to David or happened to Lori, how would it be fair to the rest of your workforce that you would have to shut down a factory because you lost a key person?
No, and that's why everybody really needs to have some sort of a backup. They may not be that person, but they need to have a good bit of the knowledge enough to pick it up and help you run it.
Yeah, you really do. And see, it goes back again, the stuff that is in between your ears. And this is what I often tell clients. Here's part of the reason that you are so overwhelmed because these answers are not there. You also learned this in little dribbles and drabs. Randy, how many hours of training do you think you have had in your nursing career?
Oh gosh. I mean, hundreds of thousands. I mean,
Okay.
that's just, yeah, it's crazy. And
So,
even in this industry too. I mean, every day I'm doing education.
right. So, and what you're looking at is all these megabytes of knowledge that stay right there. And this is what we do when we hire people. And that's why we've got to get these systems together. Another book I want to recommend, we've interviewed this gentleman, but his name is Al Levy. And Al is the author of The 7 Power Contractor. And Al is a person that has actually put together manuals that you can actually purchase this manual system of his and put it into work for you. Now, is it 100% complete? No, because your business is unique. But at the same time, he's going to teach you about doing org charts. He's going to teach you about accountability charts and how to put the processes down where people can follow them. Because this is, Brandy, have you ever been able to hire a mind reader that could read your mind?
Gosh, I wish. That'd be amazing.
Yeah. And see, the thing is, if Cheryl would hire one and they could read her mind, it would probably be a pretty scary place to go. Cheryl, would you agree?
Yeah, I did a little math the other day, and I've been here almost 26,000 days. So all I've got to say is there's a lot of stuff there, and there's a lot of scary stuff there.
There-
Um,
Yeah.
go ahead.
And that's what you've learned. And see, that goes through the experiences. But it is an overwhelming thing. It's overwhelming right now. And it goes back again. Have you ever thought about this? It's the best of times. Brandy, have you ever seen a period of time that Blues Brothers had such a heavy demand for your products and services as they've had in the last 6 months to a year?
It just gets better and better.
Yeah, it gets better and better. But at the same time, we can also say, like I said earlier, it's the worst of times. Have you ever faced a time of getting materials where it is as tough as it is right now and the undependable supply chain that we're relying on?
Never in history of my life, in business and even at the grocery store now, you're seeing it affect. It's just everywhere.
Yeah, and it's earlier today. I went to the grocery store. I had this little kicker that I wanted some fruitcake. Believe it or not, I saw this is no lie. Listen, folks,
In January.
yeah, this is the influence of social media. Social media influenced and drove a demand in myself that I had to have fruitcake. Why was that? Because I kept seeing an ad come through my timeline for Collins Street Bakery in Texas for fruitcake. Okay. And now the only way to get a fruitcake is, believe it or not, I got to order it from Amazon because there's no fruitcakes at the grocery store. And then I went further. Cheryl and I both like chocolate milk. Randy, they had no chocolate milk today. It's like, wait a minute. No fruitcake, no chocolate milk. So what did I leave with? The makings for her to make us some chili beans because for some reason I got a taste for chili beans. And I'm a Southern boy. I got a taste for cornbread. So I surprised her, brought home some cornbread mix. Okay. So it's all these different things. But again, what you got to do is stop and look at things and come back and get your systems together. Because without the systems, you're going to continue to have these headaches. And this is something else I want to think you about the crisis that you're in right now. Many times, if you're listening to us and you've been down with snow this week, or perhaps you're not feeling well or whatever it is, I consider that a crisis. So, how are you taking advantage of the crisis? That's a saying that goes back in a quote we used when COVID first rolled out in 2020, which was don't waste the crisis. Don't waste the crisis. So, what you've got to do is, while this is fresh in your mind, how are you going to get to that next level? See, one of the things is what you want to be able to do is decide today, a year from now, what are the good things that you want to be talking about? And one of the things that we've done that we'd like to help you do that is we've actually prepared and we'll be glad to send you upon request. Just send it to my email address, a year in self analysis sheet. Randy, how helpful do you think that self analysis sheet will be?
Oh, it's so helpful. It's so comprehensive. Every year when I look at it at the end of the year and the beginning of the new year, I just can't believe how comprehensive it is. It basically covers anything you could think of in your business.
Yeah, it really does. And we start working on that because I'll send that out to you two for your review and your additions probably in November. And we get it ready to launch the last week of December every year. And we send it out at that point and we upload it to our website, those kind of things. So, but anyway, from there. So Cheryl, also, is this a time that your wheel can be bumpy in the road, the wheel of life? Talk about that for just a minute.
The Wheel of Life came in from when I was getting my Ziegler certification. It marks your balance in home, economy, and everything going on in your work life. And if you've got a round wheel, which most of us don't because we're heavier in work, Jerry and I have no children at home, so we work way too much. So you can imagine we have one huge spoke. But the thing about it is, if you can balance out everything in your life, it actually does run smoother. And we're continually trying to work on this. I can send out a thing with that going on it. It's on there. And if you can get all the forks of your life balanced, it's amazing how much of a different person you'll be.
Right. Brandy, what would you say do you think is missing in most people you talk to? What's the missing spoke? What spoke is out of balance that you see the most often in talking to people?
Again, I think it goes back to that roadmap, that plan. They know what they want, but they don't have a plan on how to get there. And like I said, if you don't have a plan, you're not going to make it. It's just talk, and you're going to keep talking about the same thing over and over again.
Right. So let me ask you a question. Where's one of your favorite places to go in the United States, Brandy? If I said, "Hey, you can go get on a plane in Kansas City and go there tomorrow," where would you go to?
San Diego.
I knew that. You would go to San Diego. Let me ask you this. Before you leave to go to San Diego, have you purchased a plane ticket to get home?
Yes, I have
Have
plane
you?
ticket. I have a rental car. I know where we're staying, where I'm going to eat.
Yeah. How long did it take you to plan your wardrobe to take with you?
Oh, it takes me a little while.
I
We're not
know.
going to go there, Jerry.
No, no, seriously. The point I'm getting at is I will bet you that you picked out your outfit for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday if you were gone. Am I correct?
Mhm. And a pair of shoes for every day.
And a pair of shoes for every day. That's exactly right. And probably knew what your change of hairstyle may be. Would I be correct?
Yep.
So what you're doing is you're going on vacation and you're making this plan of how to have a successful, happy, stress-free vacation in a place that you truly love to go. Am I right?
Yes.
So what I'm trying to get to in this, and Cheryl, I'm gonna ask you, this is what you do. This is how you enjoy yourself. Now, last week, you and I took a little trip for our anniversary, and you had no idea where we were going. Am I correct?
No, and I packed for the idea of no idea. I looked like I was moving.
Right. But you didn't know where we were having dinner. You didn't know where we were going to. Am I correct?
Correct?
And you didn't know how long it would take to get there or anything else. All you knew was we had dinner reservations at a certain time on New Year's Eve. That was all you knew going into that.
But I am so good at flying by the seat of my pants.
I got you. But the other side of that is what did that take? That took trust on your part in my ability to set that little getaway up. Would you agree?
Well, I knew you. I can trust you enough to know that you're going to go somewhere where we're going to be as safe as we can be. I kind of had an idea of where it was, but because of you dropped enough breadcrumbs to help out a lot, but I wasn't sure. But yeah, it's a lot of it's just trust, and it's the same way in your business. You've got to trust that other people can do their part for you too. I mean, you can't do it all by yourself.
Right. And as we went through, last year, folks, so you'll know it was our 20th anniversary last week. And as you look back over all these 20 years, and we've actually been together longer than 20 years, but look back at all the things that we have learned in the period of time we've been together, Cheryl, and how this has, even though at times there's been failures, massive failures, how we have learned from that and how we have put together and modified the plan going forward. Would you agree with that?
You have to. I mean, you can't control a failure. You can't control what's going to happen tomorrow, much less in the future. It's how you handle it as you go through it. I mean, it's road bumps. You fix them, you put a little mud in them, and hope you can keep on going.
That's it. So these are the things that we look at. What we do is every day, the three of us talk to owners and managers of blue collar home service companies that go into America's homes. And in today's world, what we're looking at is you are servicing a market that over 60% of the American consumers want someone such as you to come in and do every service. In fact, I would say that the three of us fall into that category. I know that myself, I'm not a big home repair guy. And at my age, I don't get on roofs. I don't clean out gutters. I don't do a lot of things. I would truly enjoy mowing the grass, but I don't have time to mow the grass. So somebody does that for me. Cheryl, same way with you. Other people, you assign tasks to them that you don't mind doing yourself and you probably enjoy it. Would that be true?
I do a lot of, I mean, I actually enjoy cleaning when I've got time.
Right.
But the problem is, again, your time. But yeah, some of them I'd like to take back, and I do when I've got the time to do it, just because it feels good when I've done it.
Yeah. What about you, Brandi? Are you a person that would call someone in? The sink's dripping, the commode's running, the garage door doesn't work right? Or is Jeremy going to do those kind of repairs?
No, we're not really home people. We only have a home because we have children. When they go away, we'll probably live in a loft. We're not really home maintenance, mow the grass type people. We have people that do that for us because we can spend that time while the housekeepers are cleaning my house, and it takes them 3 of them an hour, whereas it would take me 3 hours. I can spend that time working on my business or helping a client. It's much more valuable if I'm not the one cleaning the house.
Right. And that gets down to that matter of delegation, that matter of being able to release. And to be honest with you, that's where that's where you're going to get a handle on it. So what we've talked about today is systems. We have talked about delegation. We have talked about manuals. We've talked about putting together a plan of how to do it. So what we've been doing for the last few months here at CVC, we've been reviewing what we feel the home service industry needs. And what we've assembled, and we hope you're seeing this out there, we've assembled what we call the CVC Home Service Success Summit. And we're going to be producing this virtually on February the 7th. It's not an expensive attendance at this at all. In fact, one attendance pays for everybody on your leadership team. And we encourage you to watch this together. So, as I'm going to tell you some of the speakers, I'm going to go to one of your favorite ones, Brandi. What do you think Tommy Mello is going to bring to this event?
Yeah, I call him my work crush because I'm just so amazed at all he's done in business. He has franchised a garage door business and has one of the, I think, the best training program I've ever seen for his technicians in place. So I'm hoping he's going to get into a little bit of that. And I know Tommy delegates everything. I know he doesn't check his email. He mainly rides around on whatever that thing is that he rides around on.
That's a segue.
A segue. And he goes to meet other business owners and other companies that are successful. And he really works on growing the company.
Yep. So, and then Sheryl, another guy that's going to be there that's right at the top of the heap. And he's a very good friend of ours. He's a coach. He's a mentor. What does Scott McCain bring to this event that will benefit blue-collar home service managers and owners?
Well, Scott's known as the king of distinction, and he brings the knowledge of how you can make your business distinctive and how you can stand out from other people. He is actually one of our coaches, and I have learned so much from Scott. He's a great speaker. He's got a great voice, and he just puts that final edge on pushing you over to get you where you need to go to be special.
Yep. So here's another guy. We've interviewed him, Brandi. You've never met him face to face. I never have really good, but that's Al Levy. What does Al Levy bring to the table? The author of the 7-Power Contractor. What's he going to bring to the table at this event?
His systems and processes. He's a great systems and process guy.
Okay. And then Sheryl, here's another one. And you and I know this gentleman very closely. His name is Randy Pennington. Why should blue collar owners be wanting to listen to a guy who's a Hall of Fame speaker, folks? Hall of Fame. And he works with very, very large Fortune 500 companies. So how can Randy bring the gold to us? Sheryl?
Randy brings it in with his book is Results Rule, but he works with culture within a company. That's his basic. And I have seen him turn companies completely around. He's a super speaker. And like us, he has a lot of days that he's got in his brain. So great speaker.
Very wise man. And then, Cheryl, we've got this young lady, and I think she is knocking it out of the park when people want to build an effective rock star office team. That lady's name is Brandi Biswell. What's Brandi bring to the table for this?
Brandy's going to help us put it all together in the office, making the staff work correctly. She brings an air to the office staff where they can see how effectively she's done her office, and it just streamlines the whole system, and our onboarding processes are super.
Right. And then we got one of the wisest people I've ever met, one of my personal mentors in life. Brandi, what does Sheryl Eisenhower bring to this?
Cheryl is extremely intuitive and she's really good with hiring and personalities. She can read somebody like nobody else. Like I just picture her sitting on a park bench and just like reading everybody in the park. She can tell you exactly what their disc is before they even take the test. And she spends a lot of her days doing interviews. So she has perfected that craft.
That's it. So, Brandi, I'm going to let you, the last guy, hey, we had to fill a spot, so he gets that one, and that's me. So, what do you think I'm going to bring to this event, Brandi?
Oh, I was going to be smart, but I won't be smart. I was going to be a smart aleck. Fruitcake. You're going to bring fruitcake. No, you're going to really pull it all together for us. You're the leader of the CBC Success Summit, the creator. Although I think I would argue that it's because you have a good woman behind you. So you're going to bring it all together for us.
That's it. So it's like I said, this is designed for no matter what niche you work in. If you're a plumber, if you are a landscaper, a lawn care, garage door, pesticides, gutters, no matter what your industry is. Let me tell you something, folks. Business is business. And when we talk, like I said, when we talk about Scott McCain, one of the things is, and Scott, this is something I've quoted Scott, nobody does business with you because you do it just like somebody else. Whenever you pick out a contractor, there's something that drew you, and that's what we call distinction. When you look at what your customers are buying, Brandi, do you want a company in your home that has the right culture with people that you can trust around your children?
Well, for sure. And I want people that do come from a great culture because then they're excited to go to work and they want to do a good job for their customers.
Yep, that's exactly right. So that's what this is all about. This is going to be a full day virtual event. We will start at 9 a.m. Eastern time. And yes, I know that is very early on the West Coast. But guess what? Scott McCain lives in Pacific time, and he's the rollout speaker that morning because the first thing we got to do is set that stage for distinction. And we really have a bang up event there. I'm going to put the website that you can get more information in the comment bar, but you can go there, you can get more information, you can sign up, and we look forward to you being there at the CBC Home Service Success Summit. That'll be on February the 7th. And again, we'll start at 9 a.m. that morning. We'll take a 1 hour lunch. And what's really exciting about this is we've got some great sponsors helping us to put this on. Our event is powered by Service Titan. Service Titan has stepped up to the plate. They're going to be marketing this very heavy to their client base. We have United Infrared, we have Rock City Media, and we have Spark Marketer have all stepped up as sponsors of this. And why are they sponsoring this? Because they know that their business success is contingent upon their customers' business expense. That's what it's all about. So we've suggested a couple books to you today. We've suggested some thought processes. You got to put your systems together. This is all, that's the answer. It's up to you. My point of view that I developed in the speaking industry when I started going to speaking classes was I had to select what my point of view was, and everything I say is based on that. And my point of view is that change is hard, but it's up to you to make a decision. Do you want to continue in the pain you're in, or do you want to go through the pain of change? Now, Sheryl has a very unique point of view. Her point of view works in this also. So Cheryl, what's your point of view?
Mine was I'm glad I can say I'm glad I did instead of I wish I had.
Right. So, Brandi, as we say that, what would Brandi's point of view be on the world? We've never really put you on the spot. I am putting you on the spot right now.
Well, I'm all about authenticity, so mine would just be live authentically. Be
Live on.
yourself. Or my daughter would put it, you do you, mom.
There you go. And that's it. You do you. And see, that's one of the big things. There are so many people, and they get, and I'm just going to say it, they get sucked in by charismatic people. And we see them all the time go to seminars, and they are all yah, 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 rah, 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 but they never make their dreams reality. Cheryl, do you ever see that when we go into different things?
I do. And they've got about 4 good weeks under their belt that they're kind of up here. And then after that, it's a quick slide down. And I mean, it's hard not to, because you get that rev up, but then you don't follow through. And so you've done nothing but just got revved up.
Yep. So, folks, we're going to draw today's episode to an end. We really appreciate you being with us here as always. Plan to join us every week here on the Chimney and Fireplace Success Network. Our whole mission in doing this is to share ideas with you, concepts that you can put into work. But if you need us, each of our contact information, excuse me, is right there on the screen right now. Feel free to reach out to us, because a phone call to have a discussion to see if our concepts may be the answer to what you're looking for, folks, it doesn't cost you a dime. So let's have a conversation. Even though we can't get you Brandi right now, she's pretty well booked up. But hey, maybe she'll have mercy and help somebody else. That's going to be down to her. So with that, we'll see you next time, and we appreciate you joining us on this episode of the Chimney and Fireplace Success Network.